like about this team so far through preseason, your first game? Is there anything that, as you watch them on the court, that is something that you
Well,
like about this group?
this team is obviously a team that has decent talent, but it's also obvious that we're extremely inexperienced. And with two veterans that have really played significant amount of minutes, MJ and Trent. And then we have three redshirt sophomores and a sophomore in Devin Vassell. And then I have 6 first-year players. So it's a little challenging from that standpoint. Great attitudes, great camaraderie, chemistry is excellent. Kids are working very hard. We have some areas where I think we will be improved, hopefully. I think we should be a better perimeter shooting team than we have been in the past, hopefully. But we're still a work in progress. We're still doing a lot of teaching and a lot of learning and just repeating ourselves over and over and over, trying to get an inexperienced team to come together with probably the most challenging schedule that we've had since we've been at Florida State.
Is there like a recipe for integrating the transfers and the new guys, or is it a case-by-case, team-by-team, kind of player-by-player thing?
At most coaches, we kind of get spoiled sometime when we go through periods of time where we got a lot of veterans returning and people are picking things up at a faster rate. But it's been obvious that it's been somewhat painful to have 6 first-year guys that you're dependent on as much as we depend on these guys in order for us to be successful. But that's part of dealing with success, of having an experienced team like we did last year that won a lot of close games, showed a lot of maturity and in situations that allowed us to be successful. Now we have to start back and start teaching. That doesn't necessarily mean that we can't get it done. It's challenging and it's painstaking, I guess that's the word to use, but we still have a ways to go. But I think once we start grasping things, I think we'll be a lot further along. I also think that, like many teams in America now, we have a lot of little small injuries that are taking guys away from practice. For instance, Raquan Evans will probably be out 6 or 7 weeks, with a torn hamstring. That's problematic for a point guard who needs to get reps on a consistent basis in order for him to not only carry his responsibility, but as a point guard and being a lead on the floor, you need to know everyone else's responsibility. It's a problem. Dominique had a very unusual calf strain in the exhibition game the other night. Patrick Williams has had an Achilles heel inflammation that this came as a result of we don't know what, and MJ Walker, the hip flexor, Devin Vassell, the hip flexor. And it won't bother MJ nearly as much because he's been around, and hopefully we'll have him full strength, hopefully today. Devin seems to have recovered somewhat, but it's been kind of that way all year long with a lot of little minor things that keeping you from developing the chemistry that obviously you need when you're starting your first game on the road, a conference game. So we're a little anxious, but I like the team. I think that it has good potential. I think we keep working. We have a chance to be a pretty good basketball team.
Last year, you guys opened with a huge rival in Florida. This year, on the road with an ACC opponent. What does that create? Does that create a different kind of urgency starting the season off like that?
Well, there's no doubt that it does create a sense of urgency, knowing that you don't have a lot of games to play and come together. It gets real right from the get-go. We don't have any time to learn or experiment or develop chemistry, unity, and rotations. You got to be on point day one, and that's challenging for anybody.
What have you I know Malik's been here for a long time, but what have you seen from him lately as he gets closer to actually getting on the court?
Malik played the center position at Rice. And so being put in a position where he had to go from basically playing with your back to the basket to being more of a perimeter type player in our system comes with a lot of adjustments that you have to make. He has potential to be an unbelievable defender. He's a good athlete, shooting the ball better from the perimeter, but developing the instincts that it takes to make quick decisions, being on the perimeter is a little bit of a challenge for a person who's played basically inside all his life. He hasn't played now in I don't know how many months, a year and a few months. Obviously just getting back into the rhythm of playing and adjusting to a new system and a new style. And while he's adjusting, we have those segments of practice where we go small, and then he has to move back to the center position where that would allow us to switch 1 through 5. You know, when we're trying to necessarily close games out, or if we're trying to contain the dribble a little more, we need to go small, and we don't really go real small, but in scheme of taking a 7 foot off the floor and being a team that contains the dribble a little bit more is important. So, which I think also gives him a challenge because he's going back from one position to the other. But that's who he is, and that's what we are as a team, and hopefully we'll be able to work those things out. It's just that we don't have a whole lot of practice time to learn the consistency that it takes to be effective, and for him to have confidence that he's really mastered both positions.
Friday's your last opportunity to put it on the floor before you jump into Pittsburgh and Florida and jump into the season. What are you looking for from your team?
Wow, we'll still try. We haven't even come close to trying to figure out rotations and starting lineups and things of that nature. A lot because we've been, handicapped with the knocking injuries that so many of us are dealing with now, and with as many first-year players as we're trying to integrate into our system, it's been somewhat challenging. So we're going to attempt to try to have some semblance of rotation the best we can. I still don't know exactly who we're going to have Friday. I'm not real sure we have Dominique, but he has an unusual calf strain that we don't think can get any worse by playing, so we kind of experiment with that a little bit. Jury's still out a little bit on Patrick Williams, but I think he's feeling better, so it's I would say probable that he'll be able to play. I think MJ has progressed enough that hopefully we can get him some minutes in this particular game. So hopefully we'll be coming closer to, getting most of the guys back. But I don't really know right now as to I can't predict exactly who we're going to have. I just know that we need to start trying to come up with a way to utilize this new group. And right now it's a little bit of a challenge for us as coaches because we haven't consistently had everybody together. One of the main guys we've missed a lot has been Evans, because we think he has a chance to develop into a really good player for us. And he's the one that's probably missed the most, and he's the one who probably needed the least.
You've got the courtside seating, bringing back the Noles zone, allowing fans to help pick the uniform for the exhibition game. How important has making the fans feel a part of the program been to you?
I reckon the last 3 years, I think we've lost, 3 games at home in the last 3 years. So it's important for us to allow our fans to be part of what we're doing because they've meant an awful lot to us on this journey. Whenever we need a little picking up, they seem to give us that little extra boost and energy that it takes to be successful. As we've been at home, we wouldn't be where we are without the fans and the support that they've been giving us. So we want them to try to be as much of a part of what we're doing as possible because it means an awful lot to us to know that we have the support that we've enjoyed the last couple of years. And, we're excited about it. Anything we can do to make them feel more of a part of who we are and what we're about as a team, we're going to try to include them.
The NCAA came out yesterday and was discussing name, image, and likeness and allowing athletes to profit off those. Do you have any thoughts on?
Do you understand exactly what that means?
In general terms, yes.
But not specific terms. Well, you probably know a little bit more than I know.
I was just curious.
And my thoughts are, I'd like to know a little bit more about how that works, so that I can comment on it. I probably have more questions than I have answers, mainly because I'm curious as to how we maintain a level playing field with different conferences, different levels of positions of teams, different conferences, different localities. Maybe a metropolitan area might have more need for certain things than schools in non-metropolitan areas. I don't know the particulars about how that's going to work. And before I start commenting on it, I'd like to have someone explain to me what that really, really means.
Well, good.